Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, Matt's going to be teaching you how to play the theme to Luigi's Mansion. Now this is actually a tune that I am pretty familiar with because about a year or so ago, I would go over to visit my brother and he'd always be playing this game. Now I didn't mind the game, it actually looked pretty fun to play, but he would always push that button on the controller that made Luigi call out to Mario. And he didn't push it once, he pushed it over and over and over, and it drove me crazy. But I think I got the last laugh because last night I sent him this. Mario? So jokes aside, let's talk a little bit about this arrangement. So while I was playing through it last night, I realized two things. First off, it's a ton of fun to play, but secondly, it's going to be perfect for the intermediate fingerstyle player. So if that's where you're at, this should be a really good challenge for you. Now, in this video, Matt's going to be teaching you how to play the entire arrangement, but if you want to get the tabs to print off and follow along with, that's going to be available at this link right here, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com and do a search for Luigi's Mansion. Now also on that page will be the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer. Now this is a great feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a great asset in learning this song that much easier. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Matt to teach you how to play this, and then I'll catch you at the end of the video.
Hello, my name is Matt Dahlberg, and today we're going to learn a high G ukulele arrangement of the theme from Luigi's Mansion. My son's a huge fan of this video game. I am too. I'm really excited to be working on it. So let's go ahead and dive in with Melody A. Now to start playing this, what we're going to be looking for is this high A minor chord. To play this, we're going to take our ring finger, place on the 9th fret of the C string, middle finger here on the 8th fret of the E string, and index finger here on the 7th fret of the A string. Now to play this, I like to use 3-finger picking. So I'm going to have my thumb on the C string, index here on the E, and middle finger here on the A for a majority of this song. I'm going to pluck my C string, then pluck my A string, and then my E and A together. Then the A again, then the C and A together, then the E, and finally the A again. So in time, that measure looks and sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. So what's happening here is a little bit of a bass line within that melody, and the two together just sound really cool. So as we go on to the second measure, we're going to go to a B chord. To play this, what we're going to do is take this index finger and we're going to bar and slide down. So we're going to be across the 6th fret of all C, E, and A strings. Take the middle finger, add it here on the 7th fret of the E string. Pluck your C and A together. Then pluck just your E, then your C, then your E again. So in time measure 2, pretty straightforward, sounds like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so that you can hear the pair of these together, it should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going into the next part here, we're going to play a D minor chord. To do that, you just take this middle finger off and move this bar down 1 fret, so it's on the C, E, and A strings 5th fret. Pluck your C string, A string, A and E together, A string again, A and C together. Then you're going to pluck the E string, and we're going to take our ring finger and place it here on the 7th fret of the E string. And then play the A string again, still there with the 5th fret barred. So measure 3 should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to the next chord here, we're going to play our second version of an A minor chord. We're going to slide our index finger down to the 3rd fret of the A string. Ring finger is going to go here on the 5th fret of the E string, and our middle finger here on the 4th fret of the C. Pluck all 3 strings, C, E, and A together. Then we're going to play this B flat note. Just take your pinky, add it here on the 6th fret of the E string. And then we're going to go to this kind of E chord, but what we're going to do for this is leave the middle finger where it is and slide it all the way up to fret 8 on the C string. So it stays on the same string but slides up. And then take your index finger and add it on fret 7 of the E and pluck your C and E together. And then the hardest part of the song, I think, is this little run with these 16th notes. Now, by doing this way, you're kind of setting yourself up for it, because then what you're going to do is take your index, move it down to the 7 on the A, and then you're going to play 10 on the E with your pinky, 8 on the E with the middle, 7 on the E with the index. Now, as far as what fingers to pluck down here, it's okay to alternate between whatever fingers on the string and the thumb to get a little bit more speed. You can also alternate between your index and middle fingers. Whatever feels the best for getting that speed is really what we're looking for. And so that measure looks like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then from here, it's going to go essentially repeat. But before we get there, let's go ahead and hear what measures 3 and 4 sound like together. It should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And as we go into measure 5 now, you'll notice measure 5 looks familiar. Because it's exactly the same as measure 1. And guess what? Measure 6 is exactly the same as measure 2. And guess what? Measure 7 is exactly the same as measure 3. So 5, 6, 7 are exactly the same as 1, 2, and 3, which is kind of neat. Lots of repetition. From here we go on to the first ending of this melody A, though. And that's going to be this sort of E chord. It's an E chord that's only an E note, really. We're going to play 0 on the 7 with our ring finger. So we just kind of came from this here, right? So the ring finger is going to come over to 7 on the A, play open on the E, and then play 5 on the A. I like to just use my index finger here. Slide it down to 3, slide it down to 2. So a lot of activity with that index finger. And then pluck your C, E, and A strings all open. So that end of measure 8 looks something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And at this point, it actually restarts back to measure 1 and plays 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 again before going on to the second ending. So that you can hear it, I'm going to play measures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, do the repeat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then show you how we do that second ending. So it should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, from this point, it restarts and goes back into measure 1. And now instead of going on to measure 8, which we did the first time, we're going to go now on to measure 9 for the second ending. And to do this, well, it starts off exactly the same. The The exact same collection of notes. The only difference between the first ending and the second is the second ending has the open on the A string played before it goes on to melody B. That's it, the only variation. So measure 9 in time sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And this goes on to melody B. So that you can hear it though, here's the entirety of melody A. So I'm going to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, repeat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, skip 8, go on to 9 for that second ending. Should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now from this point, we go on to melody B. Now with melody B, we're going to start with an E7 chord. Play your everyday E7 with your index finger here on the first fret of the G string, middle finger here on the second fret of the C string, and ring finger here to the second fret of the A. But that A string should be open just to start. Keep that finger ready to go though, because you're going to pluck your G, C, and E strings, which I like to just move the fingers up. So thumb, index, middle. Then play the open A. Then play 2 on the A. And then 3 on the A, just sliding that ring finger up 1 fret. And then pluck the C, E, and A all open. And then we're going to play 3 on the A, which you can just use your ring finger for. So measure 10 in time sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going into measure 11, we're going to go back to that E7, fret all 4 strings and pluck all 4 at the same time. So kick your ring finger in there to the A string. We're going to play 3 on the A, slide that ring finger up. 5 on the A, slide that pinky into place, all the way up to 7 on the A. And then we're going to play this A minor chord that we played earlier. Index finger here on 3 of the A string, ring finger here on 5 of the E string, and middle finger here on 4 of the C string. Pluck those 3 together, then play 7 on the A with the pinky. A little bit of stretch. It's okay if your fingers come off with this, but you want to try to leave them in play if you can. So measure 11 sounds like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And measures 10 and 11 should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going into measure 12 now, we're going to go back to that B chord we played before, barring the 6 on the C, E, and A with the index, middle finger here on 7 of the E. We're going to pluck our C, E, and A together. Then 7 on the A, stack the ring finger in underneath. 9 on the A, pinky finger. 10 on the A with the pinky sliding up. Then we're going to go to an E chord. Take that index finger, bar it across the 4th fret all the way. Add the pinky on 7 of the A. And play the G, and then the A on 4 and 7, which are already there. So measure 12 sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going into measure 13 now, it's going to go back to that B chord, pluck the C, E, and A together, then just the E string, back to that E chord we were just at, the 4, 4, 4, 7. And then we're going to go to an E flat. All that you gotta do is take this chord, move it down 1 fret, so it's barred across 3 with the 6th fret. Now, I know that sounds really wrong and out of place right now, but I promise it'll make sense once we put it in with context. So measure 13 is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And measures 12 and 13 sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now this chord sounds terrible, doesn't it? Well, that's just because we really want to go into 14. Now measure 14 is kind of funny. It's a 2-bar phrase. We're going to play 4, 4, 4, 7, the E chord. And then we're going to play the E flat again. And that's just the 2 beats there. Sounds like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and 2, 8. And if we play measure 15 now, it'll all make more sense once 15's played. We're going to play that E chord again. Back down to the E flat, back up to the E, back down to the E flat, back up to the E. It's just going back and forth to create that sort of sound. Now you can strum through with your thumb. I like to pluck all 4 strings. Whatever technique works for you is great for this situation as long as it's comfortable. And then after that, we're going to play the little 16th note riff that we played earlier on measure 4. So measure 15 in time sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And so that you can hear it, here is now measures. We're just going to do the whole thing because context is really good with this. I'm going to play measures 13, 14, and 15. So kind of triple up instead of the usual pair. And then we'll play the whole melody B. 13, 14, 15 should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And here's the entirety of melody B. It should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And from here, we actually go back to melody A. And we play it just as we normally do. I'm on measure 7. Instead of going on to measure 8, which was the first ending, or measure 9, which is the second ending, I'm going to go on to the coda. And what that is measure 16. And what I do for 16 looks like this. The way that we play that is we start off the same way we do measures 8 and 9, with the open E string and the 7 on the A. We're going to go to 5 on the A, just like we do before. But then we're going to come back up to 7. Go all the way up to 11. And then play the harmonics on the 12th fret. And if you don't know how to play harmonics, check out the link down below that shows a lesson on this technique. But that's what measure 16 sounds like. Here it is in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And so that you can hear the whole thing, here is that last melody A. So essentially measures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 16. And on 16, it's okay to slow down a little bit as you go through, make it a little more dramatic. Sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And there you have it. There is Luigi's Mansion's theme, one of my favorite video game tunes ever. It's been stuck in my head for much too long. My son has those Lego Mario sets, and the Luigi one came out, and it plays this music through the little piece. So this one has been a fixture in my life for a little while now. But as always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. We try to take a look at any questions you guys might have. Stick with this tune. It's a ton of fun, and I hope to see you on the next lesson. Thanks so much.
All right, guys, so this week's ukulele lesson was a ton of fun. This is a really cute sounding melody with a hint of spookiness to it. Now, I wanted to give you a friendly reminder that if you wanted to get the tabs to print off, keep for your records, that was available at this link right here. Or you can go to the site rockclass101.com and do a search for Luigi's Mansion. Now, also on that page was the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer. So you can literally hit play, you can watch that tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars, loop sections, slow it down, all that fun jazz. So guys, I hope you enjoyed learning this tune, and we'll catch you in the next lesson. Take care.